Okay, welcome to the cmBuilder open demo. Now, this open demo, we're going to do a little different. We're going to have Pedro Sousa, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the fastest clicker on 2 feet. We're going to do a little challenge here. We're going to build a 4D site logistics simulation in 60 minutes or less. And from soup to nuts, 60 minutes or less. Now, Pedro's already making excuses. He says he's got an injury. He's got a Band-Aid on his click finger. I don't know. No, I feel like he's faking it just to keep the exit strategy here, but I don't know. Sorry, I'm Javi. This is Pedro. Pedro is in charge of all customer success. I'm in charge of the business side. We're going to do a quick demo, show you how the product works, feature functionality. Before Pedro dives in and tries to build the fastest 4D site logistics simulation ever, I'm going to just do a quick introduction to the platform at a very high level. What is cmBuilder? What's it all about? I should be able to see my screen now. So cmBuilder is a fully web-based 3D site logistics and 4D simulation platform. So the idea is all the authoring, content creation, simulation work you do is directly in the browser. There's no locally installed software at all. And it allows you to bring in BIM models, survey data, drone scans, textured mesh files, your schedule files, etc. All your project artifacts into your project map tile. And then you can layer on all your logistical items like cranes, fences, hoists, trailers, etc., and build up a full sequence of like all the phasing and how your construction site is going to evolve over time. Now, since you're fully web-based, you do get some of the benefits of the cloud. It's fully, all your multiplayer mode, sharing links, not files, all that good stuff, being able to update things on the fly and make it go. And the idea is to get all the way to a kind of a full, great in pursuit, great in pre-construction, get into a full simulation that's presentable to the client, and also great for communication tool with various stakeholders like city people, the client, architects, or like design team professionals, etc. So yeah, that is the very fast introduction to cmBuilder. So now that you know what it is, Pedro's going to show you how to use it and what it's all about. Pedro, take it away.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Javi, for the introduction. Let me share my screen now. So I just want to show like a little bit of like what is the end state of what I'm building today, right? So this is a completed project that I'm going to try to build today quickly. And of course, it's going to be like a simplified version of this, but like that's the idea of like showing the steps of construction, showing the objects that are placed on the logistical elements over here on the site, the crane location, and several other elements, as long as the sequencing in the presentation for it. Okay. So let's start with how to create a project, right? So here we can see like our homepage in cmBuilder for like a bunch of projects available, and I'm gonna hit on the create a button over here on the top to start with a new project, and I'm just gonna create like a demo project. And in here I can select if I want to do a close or org-wide project. Basically the difference is just like controlling access for admins and for the rest of the company, right? So you can have different styles of access over here. And the next step is to define what is going to be our location, right? So I already have like an address set up over here for me, which is the address of that location that I showed before. Basically, when you hit it over there and you hit enter, like it's going to be an animation showing you where like it's going to be the location of your project. And in here you can choose if you want to do what it's going to be the size of your map, right? And basically what we suggest is that you try to include like all the parts this map that will affect your logistics planning for your project. Okay, when I hit generate a 3D map, we're gonna see like a little preview, right? So the program is gonna fetch that information and they're gonna build automatically for you a map tile that will have the satellite image, the shape of the terrain, and also these white buildings as our first kind of like default state of that project. But everything can be improved from this point onwards, right? So I already have like a project that is created over here with like some of the elements that we're going to be using today. But this is the idea, right? We have like now access to this area and we can start to edit and add elements over there and build our whole planning. Okay, so the area of my project is this one over here, and this building has already been demolished, so I can simply delete this building from my site planning, and now I can start working from scratch from this point onwards, right? So Now we're going to do the project setup stage, which basically is just bringing in the information that you have available into your site so you can create the simulation and the planning from that point onwards. So the first step for this process is to bring in a drawing that would show where your building is located and what is the context of the area that you're going to impact, right? So to do that, I'm just quickly going to hide my surrounding masking over here to have like a clear view of like all the elements on the background. And I'm going to go and click on the drawing overlay tool, which will allow me to select a image from my computer, right? So you can bring in a PDF file or a JPEG or PNG files, right? So if it's a PDF, you can select which page you want to bring. And once you hit OK, like that page is going to show up in your view right away. And then you can choose now how to locate this image, right? So you can import as many images as you want that would help you with your planning, like site plan drawings, logistics drawings, floor plan drawings. If you don't have a 3D model to work with, you want to build a masking out of that, you can bring in all of those images in here, okay? So the quickest way to position an image in cmBuilder is to use the aligning positioning tool, this one over here in the corner, where I can select 2 points in my image and then 2 points on the satellite image. And though in my imported drawing will adjust based on those 2 points, right? So let's go ahead and select this point over here and this point over here. And maybe I can select another point that is like far away from the other, so like we can reduce the error over here of the alignment. And then when we do that, I can see that now my image is positioned using those 2 points. I can manipulate this further if I want to do some fine adjustments by moving these points around and position it basically where I want. I can also geolocate these points if you know the geolocation system that you're using for that project or for that drawing. You can apply the geolocation and the coordinates to those points. Okay, so basically now I have my drawing placed on the right spot. I could move this up and down to like position it wherever I want in which elevation I want, but I'm gonna instead project this on the terrain, which will make like my drawing follow the shape of the terrain. So if you have like a very sloped site, this is super useful because then the drawing will adapt to that. Okay, and let's hit done. Now I have a drawing on the right spot. Okay, next step is to import 3D models or to create the 3D models if you don't have a 3D model available. We do have like a workflow that will help you improve the quality of these background images, these background models over here. This is what comes by default when you create a project, but we can delete this one and then bring in a new model coming from Google Maps, right? So I'm going to click over here on beam model and I'm going to add beam models to the site. There are models over here that are already prepared for this presentation, but basically you can import FBX files, you can import IFC files, Revit files, and step files, right? So as an example, I'm going to just import one so you can see how quickly it is. So basically, if I bring in the structural model over here and click on open, I can choose what are the IFC classes that I want to convert in this process. And there is already a default state over there of IFC classes that are brought into this site. But once this model finish uploading and converting, you'll see that the model will pop up on my screen over here right in front of me, so I can now start using it, right? However, I don't want to use this model right now. I want to bring in other models like the architectural model and also the surrounding buildings. So when I bring these other 2 models that are already in my database over there, you see like a bunch of new parts showing up over here on my screen. And I'm going to start positioning them so I can have a better context and like an idea of how this site's going to look like. Okay, so let's start by taking these, I'm gonna taking this routing buildings and like position it properly. So like I'm gonna quickly position this using the background satellite image over here as a reference. And then I can move these models around and place them like whatever I want. So I can move this guy down over here. And for the because this is like this is a model that's going to be like very close to my project site, I want to make sure that I get that part right. So I'm going to focus on the parts that are closer to my site, right? So to get them very well aligned. Okay, so there you go. And there you go. Cool. So now I have my surrounding buildings already positioned over here, and I can start working with the positioning of my other models. So to position the other models, I'm gonna turn on my drawing back, right? So I can see like over here in my drawing, it shows where is the location of my columns and the grid lines and everything. And I'm gonna use that as a reference to position the structural model. Keep in mind that any model in cmBuilder can be geolocated. So if your model has a geolocation attribute applied to it, you can simply apply these coordinates in the georeferencing system inside the platform, and the model will be automatically positioned for you. But in a case where the model is not your position, we can use references that are already here, like the drawing, to position the model according to it. So I'm going to take the same angle that I applied to the rotation of my drawing, and I'm going to apply that to my model. So like these two parts are aligned with one another. And then I'm gonna bring in my model to like the right spot using these column over here as a reference, right? So let me position my handle closer to where I want to make my movement. And then I now position this column right where it's supposed to be. And I'm gonna now just adjust the Z elevation over here to make sure that I can see the whole slab on this side. Okay. So next step is to position the second model, the architectural model, but I don't want to do exactly the same process because I know that these models are coming from the same reference. So I can simply use this command over here, snap to position using another model, and I will choose the structural model. And now my architectural will show exactly where it's supposed to be in comparison to the structural file.
Right, so Pedro, just jumping in here, so if you had 6 or 7 models, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, architectural, maybe civil, different types of models, all you have to do is locate the one model and snap all of them to that first model, or position them with geolocation.
Exactly, exactly. So the next step now for me, now that I have all the geometries that I need in place, is to import a schedule file, right? So you can create your schedule in cmBuilder by simply adding new dates over here to the milestones. So I could like hit plus and just create like a new site mobilization state over here, define what is their dates and things like that. But this can be, it's more like adequate for to use whenever you don't have a 3D a schedule file available, right? So you will be creating like a more overall kind of like idea of your steps of construction and whatnot. But if you do have a 3D file, a schedule file available, you can simply import that schedule over here by clicking on that, and then you can import MS project files. You can import P6 files, you can import part project, like whatever scheduling software you guys use, you can import in here. I already have like a schedule sample over here coming from MS project, and I'm just gonna load that file over there. And then we're gonna see over here now a list of all the tasks that are available in that file, and I can choose which task I want to convert into a milestone or a cmBuilder phasing, okay? So the process here is to try to import like the start and the end dates relevant to what you're going to show in your simulation. For example, for items that are a task, like I want to finalize the site mobilization, I'm going to only work with the end dates because this is going to show like this final state of that process, right? But for objects like tower cranes and hoists, you want to show the moment that they come into the site and the moment that they leave the site, right? So we're going to bring in both the start and the end date for those. And for the rest, we can just go ahead and like work with the end dates. So I'm going to choose a couple of like tasks over here, just so like to create like a approximated sequence, right? Otherwise, if I would have, I could do this for every one of these tasks if I wanted, but like it would take a long time for us to finish the simulation. So I would prefer to do it like this. And now I have like a list over here with like some of the dates that are going to be created for my schedule. Cool. So when I hit apply, I'm gonna see now that this project has like a bunch of tasks that are all linked to a schedule file, right? So this schedule file, once if I have like a new version of it, I can simply click over here and update schedule and bring in that new version of the file, and all the dates over here will be automatically updated. Also, if you have like a new version of your 3D model, you can do the same thing by like right clicking on one of these models and updating this with a new model, and all the sequence that you already created for that model will be maintained. And if there are new parts that come in with the new version of your model, you will be highlighted. They will be highlighted so you can like choose like where these new parts are gonna be connected to. Okay. So I'm gonna delete the manually created milestones over here, and now we are ready to start working. Cool. So the first step of the process in cmBuilder is to create a site mobilization kind of like element, right? So let's go ahead and bring our drawing back over here so we can see what are the elements that are like highlighted in my drawing. And I can see fences, I can see gates, loading areas, a flagger over here, and the temporary power line entry, the offices, and um, there's a crane over here, a hoist. So all of these elements, I'm gonna find them in our resource library. So my resource library over here has like almost 2,000 objects that you can simply drag and drop to the site. Or, but if there's anything that you want that is not in our library, you can put in a request by going over here on the top and doing a resource request. Just let us know what you want, and we will build that for you. So while I'm continuing the work over here, Javi can explain a little bit about the process of requesting a new.
So basically, when we started, we just had a few, general resources, and then used the customer base across the world to kind of request resources. So that's how it works. So everyone can request resources to be added to the library. The way it works is that it's by a prioritization is by subscription level, and we guarantee turning them around starting at premium. So premium and enterprise, we guarantee to do this them, but anyone can request them, and often we'll do the ones from standard as well, especially if it makes sense. But yeah, the prioritization is like enterprise first and premium. But the idea is that we build the actual off the manufacturer spec sheet and make it accurate. And then what you can see there is we make it parametric, and we make ability to add your logos and brands, your clients' logos and brands, and just really make that site logistics simulation pop, especially when it's in pursuit. It's really nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start placing a couple of objects over here just to build this little village over here of our of our construction site. And then you can place an element, you can copy paste that element, and then bring it over to the side. I know that there's another trailer that's gonna go over here, and then I'm gonna place in also a gate, right? So let's go find a good gate over here. The interesting thing is that the gates they can be placed as guided objects, so like they will snap to the location of a fence, and when you place the gate, we just replace the fence at that location. So, and you can also have like these objects connected in the same, that they will behave the same way in the timeline. Another interesting thing about cmBuilder, like working within the context of your satellite image and the background of your buildings and everything, is that now that I can compare like the project, the design that was done on my drawing, and see how it interacts with the real life conditions over here. And I can see that this fence is going right on top of like the access ramp for this other building, and it's something that I want to keep like clear. So I'm gonna go over here in my edit sketch for the fence. I'm gonna move the fence to the side, and that's it. Now I have a new like location for my fence, and I'm gonna also adjust my trailers over here. And that's it. Now the trailers are done. I cleared everything that I needed to clear. And I'm just gonna finish by placing in this gate at this location over here. Cool. So what else, Javi, do you want me to place over here? What am I
Yeah,
missing?
I think the idea is just drag and drop, really dead simple. You don't need to be a tech wizard to do this, right? It makes it really easy. I think flow is really important when setting up a site. So you can start thinking about how you communicate, how vehicles are going to get in and out of the site, especially if that's where you might go through. So maybe we can
Cool.
talk a bit about arrows and flows and communicate and just contrast for zones, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. So let's start with the arrows, right? So just to show access to the site. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna put in like some arrows, which basically I can draw like the simplest way to show the flow in access is by creating like a set of arrows that will follow a path, and then from that path we can, let me just finish this, and then we will see the final output over here. So like you see that these arrows showed up, right? Just like following the path over there. And this is the simplest way. You just have like a set of arrows. You can change the colors and things like that. But if you want to make it like a pop, really pop, you can create an animation for it where like I can create a line. And this line is basically what controls the path of an animation. And I can choose the same to use the same line as the arrows that I had over there. And I will just like make this line invisible because I just want it as a reference. And then I'm going to go ahead and place in a resource to follow the path of that line, right? So over here in our vehicles, we have like some dump trailers and trailer trucks that you can use a visual programming tool to create like a sense of a movement of those objects, right? So basically, this creates a, like an approximation of a sweat path where like you can see that the crane, oh, sorry, the truck will rotate to kind of like make the turns and things like that. Okay. So another thing that Javi mentioned is that like when I'm looking from a 2D perspective, sometimes it's hard to see exactly where the site is because like it has like everything can become like a little bit faded from far away. So you can use a zoning tool, for example, to like really highlight this area by creating like a projection over here of the fence, and then I can go and finalize the shape of this zone. And the zones can have like solid colors, transparent colors like this one that you're seeing right now, or I can add a texture to it. So like let's put the texture of dirt just to show that like at this stage over here I have done like some sort of like demolishing of this asphalt over here, and then you can have like these two like steps of construction. Cool. Okay, so now that my site mobilization stage is done, I can go ahead and go into the next step of my planning, which is relation to the excavation, right? So the excavation, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hide like this building for now because I want to see what is gonna be the site at the moment that I'm creating my excavation, right? So this is like what it's gonna look like at that stage. But I do want to see like a reference of where my foundation is. So I'm going to temporarily show just the foundation parts, okay? And then from here, I can go into my terrain and excavation operation where I can create cuts on my site. And to be able to see if things are on the ground, you can simply select the object over there and the object will be highlighted to you. So I'm going to create a cut over here that's going to go half the way like to the footprint of my basement. And like once I've closed the cut, like it will create a cut that is roughly 10 feet or 3 meters deep, right? So by default, and I can adjust this further to make the cut, like for example, the lines of my cuts to follow and touch exactly the line of the foundation walls over there, right? But I'll just like keep like the approximated shape over here to go a little bit faster. Okay. Another thing that we're going to use over here is the ability to like check like what are the foundation elevations. So you can select this and like say that you want to make the cut follow a specific elevation. So right now, like the cut is like exactly at the same point of the top of my foundation over there. And I can also adjust other things, like for example, the slopes of the cuts, right? So, but to adjust the slopes of the cut, I will turn off like my foundation because I want to see the cut how it is the moment that it's been done. And then if I go over here, my excavation operations, I can click on adjust, and I will define that the cuts will slope in or slope outwards from my sketch, right? So I can also deactivate these walls and keep like just one wall to show that my excavation is moving towards direction. I can define the slope ratio over here, so like make it more horizontal, more vertical, right? I can also do ramps, right? So I can place in a ramp over here in the corner of this excavation to show like access to this point. But this ramp, when I created like by default, it's created with the percentage grade of 20%. And then I'm going to adjust it to like go into 30% and be able to create the whole ramp over here. Or I could have created like a curved ramp over here with like a couple more actions, a couple more excavation operations. Cool. So now I have this state of excavation, and I can go to the next state where I'm gonna do like now the finalized state of the excavation. And to do it quickly, I will simply duplicate the first cut that I've done, move it to the next milestone, and in this cut over here, I'm gonna go ahead, remove the slopes, and I will edit the sketch to make the sketch follow the total shape of my foundation now. So if I show this right now, I can go over here in my cut and select highlight the foundation, and I can, oh, actually I need to go to the excavation plan and edit this cut over here. So if I highlight that, I will be able to see like where it ends over here more or less, and then I will extend my excavation to that point, and then we'll just need to adjust my sketch and then bring it over here, and then we hit confirm. Okay, I could have turned on the whole foundation to see like exactly what it is, but I just doing things a little bit faster over here. Okay, so now I have like a couple of stages of my excavation, and whenever I create these excavation steps, I have like a real-time kind of like feedback about the volumes of these excavations. And when I click on earthwork takeoff, I can see a report of like of what's going on in each one of these stages. I can define a swelling factor over here to like compare the compact volume and the loose volumes to my takeoffs based on the loose volume. I can show the detail breakdown as well, where I can see the volumes of each one of these operations. So for more complex excavation plans, you can also create complex, you can also extract the full-on report for that.
Yeah, it's really
Okay.
good for, we didn't talk about it, but there's an idea of scenarios in cmBuilder. So each project can have multiple scenarios, and that's one of the great use cases of if you're studying like backfill and slope versus vertical shoring, what the cost impact is and the logistical impact is on a schedule. It's great way to do a quick takeoff of the earthwork with the swell factor incorporated, analyze how many trucks you're going to have, all that kind of good stuff, and make an informed decision with the client.
Yeah, and I'm just putting like an excavator over there with an animation as well, just to show that they're like what are the steps of my excavation, and also what is the equipment that I'm gonna be using over there. So I could put in like a dump truck over here following that excavator as well. And I can define that like all of these objects, they are gonna be done at this milestone. So when I go to the next milestone, they are not there anymore. Cool. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do over here is shoring, right? So if I go back over here, my equipment, and go into the shoring options of my excavation, I have a bunch of different options over here for shoring. And basically, I'm going to choose one, and I'm going to draw like a shape that would define what is going to be the pattern of my shoring. So I'm going to do this shape over here, similar to the excavation, but I want it to be a little bit more precise. So I'm going to snap this line of my shoring to the faces of my excavation, right? So this will make sure that they will be all aligned. And I'm gonna just offset this a little bit because I need to bring this out. And then when I hit confirm, now like the whole shoring showed up over there, and I can make this shoring like go all the way over here. And to start that shoring along with the first excavation step. So now when I go back over here, I have like already the shoring done, and then the other step of the shoring, and that's it. Cool. So I could have created like a pile drilling stage as well, show the pile driver, like what is the path that pile driver is taking, like it's going counterclockwise or clockwise, or which areas are going to be working in each stages. So we can go like a full detailed over here, but at this stage we could just show in a couple of things. Okay. So now the next step is for us to create the sequence of execution of this model. So let's go ahead and take a look at the models, right? So if I open here my 3D view of like the models, I'm gonna bring back the structure because we're gonna work with the structure first, and I'm gonna temporarily hide everything else and remove the terrain as well, just because I want to see the structure like alone, so I can like plan the steps of construction with just that 3D model over there. Okay, so basically the idea is that I could select each one of these elements over here that are supposed to be the concrete footings at this stage and assign them to this milestone. But instead, I'm going to select them from the tree structure because they are already predefined over here. And when I say begin from this milestone, you can see that if I go back, those parts are not there. And if I go forward, they are there. So basically, this is how you create a sequencing builder. You just select a part and you say, I want this part to begin at this milestone. So that part will show up only when I activate that milestone and will remain showing until the end, right? Sometimes when you do this work, like it's super handy for you to turn on the sequencing view, because the sequencing view will highlight what are the elements that are already connected to the milestones and if they are in the past or in the future. But also you can isolate over here all the elements that are not connected yet, and then you can go and like select just these connect the elements that are missing to the correct milestone. So for example, I'm selecting the whole L1 over here, like the parking level 1, the walls, and the suspended slab for level 1, and I'm going to assign all of that into this milestone over here. Sometimes you're going to be working with models that are not very well defined over here on the 3D view, and this is because of like whoever created the model maybe didn't pay attention to that, but you still can work very well with like the 3D view using these filters over here on the bottom. Okay. So let's go ahead and finish this, these steps. And then I'm gonna put everything on the correct milestones. And from there onwards, we can go and then work with the architectural model. Okay. So once I'm done with this and I finish the structural sequence, you can see now that there is a sequence executed over here. I'm just going back and forth with that, and I'm ready to now work with my architectural model. So I can hide this structure and I can bring back my architectural model, and now I can do the same sequencing view over here and then focus on like going into the milestones that refers to this to the envelope, and then I can go and assign these parts to the correct milestones. So envelope 6. So it's good because you will always have like a nice view comparing like where different disciplines are in your schedule. So it's a great way to illustrate a schedule, because sometimes like people that do not have like a lot of construction experience, they see a schedule, they see drawings, and they don't understand exactly what's going on. But like now with a 3D view that can be generated very quickly, like this one that you see right now, it becomes way easier to do that kind of analysis. Okay. And then we can see everything in context over here, where like I can see all the parts that are being executed along with like all the other things that I've done, like excavation, a mobilization of the site, and so on and so forth. And I can now start to populate this with like more elements. For example, there's a tower crane over here that is like a very important piece of of equipment for us to plan. So I can go into my resources and equipment, go into equipment vehicles, and then like click on the fixed cranes, and I'm going to choose a crane from this list. We have like almost 200 cranes over here for you to choose, but I know that they use the Chaser 300 on this project, so I'm going to go ahead and place it over here roughly in the middle, just so I can see more or less where the crane is supposed to go. And then I can like rotate it to make it align with my building and so on. And to see the coverage of the crane at this location, we're going to click on the adjust function over here and turn on the hook envelope. And this, I will be able to go and expand the location of the hook. So I can like now manipulate this and see where is the location that I need to place this crane. So I can make all the picks with this position of a hook, right? So the hook at 40 meters can make all the picks with the crane at this location, but then I need to change now, like to check if like my foundation, what is the size of my foundation? So is it okay to keep like a crane with a foundation this big on this side over here? How I'm gonna manage this foundation with my excavation and so on and so forth. So like all the challenges of construction are being revealed like in real time for you, right? So you can always see everything in context and what are the impacts of like your changes. Okay. And after defining where the hook is, I'm gonna just go ahead and bring my jib to like the next available position right after the hook, because this crane and all the other objects in cmBuilder are following the spec sheets of the manufacturer. So like if I click on specs over here and click on preview, you'll be able to see like the actual spec sheet of that object and like what are more information about it, like the available positionings, the load capacities, the freestanding height, the jib, like the tieback configurations, and so on and so forth, which will help you like make informed decisions.
Another nice thing about this is we got it's called the swap. So that when you're doing crane planning, if you're looking at luffing cranes versus hammerhead cranes versus flat top cranes, and you're just not sure, you literally can just like use the same position, just swap it, and it'll automatically place a new crane from the resource catalog right in the same location. So it's great for rapidly iterating on potential cranes, and going into the market and saying who's got those cranes available for the rental dates that you need.
Yep. Another thing that is important over here is to show also where is the loading area. So like I remember from my drawing that there is a loading area defined over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and like create a zone that shows that loading area. I'm gonna create it like a little bit bigger, because I'm not sure if that area over there will fit a truck. So let's check that right now. I'm going to create a loading area over here, and I can hide the drawing and keep on working with my area. I don't like the yellow shape. I'm going to put this asphalt just to bring the attention on over there. And I'm going to check now if like this is big enough to fit a truck, right? So I'm going to go in my equipment and vehicles, and I'm gonna go into transport vehicles, and maybe I'm gonna get like a flatbed truck over here. There are a couple options of flatbed trucks. So let's get the North American one, and yes, it does fit, right? So I can also like do some uh, traffic control elements as well. So I can put in some cones over here. So if I go in placing cones, I can draw like a line that will define where my cones are supposed to be. The cones will show up over there. I can put in like a, let's say a street flagger or something like that. Flagger. Oh, no, sorry. It's going to be resources. Flagger.
Yeah,
So
so mark flaggers, there's lots of terminology from different customers around the world, but generally speaking, all the things that you need to think about logistics on the traffic management should be inside the platform. Again, if you need anything, so signage, do we have marshals, zigzags, cones, bollards, these types of things that we need to be communicated to the various stakeholders throughout the construction phases, should be already just drag and drop in the catalog out of the box.
yeah, so I'm gonna go over here. Like the last thing that I'm gonna do is to place a hoist at this location over there, and then adjust this a little bit further with my tieback of the hoist, and go on and place it over here, and then adjust the height of this hoist, so like it will be applied along with the location of the object over there of my live deck. And then one thing is that I can make this hoist go up as like the building go up as well. Like any object in cmBuilder, you can adjust the shape and the parameters of that object to like fit what is going to be the use case of your project. So like, for example, I'm defining that my crane is going to have two stages over here, right? One crane jump. So you can always like work with like real life conditions, because all of these elements are following the spec sheet of the actual manufacturer, right? So that's it for this process. So I think I'm good with resources. Javi, there's anything else you want me to put over here?
No, I think that's good for now. I think you talked about coverage, resource coverage envelope, where the crane is, or sorry, the hoist is relative to the crane, lay down areas, boneyards, storage, no-fly zones. These are all the types of things that you can easily communicate. You know, where you can swing the crane here, we can't swing the crane there. And
Yeah.
I'm going to talk later about how you start to put that contextual information into a presentation or into a final deliverable
Yeah.
to make it easier for the customer.
The only thing that I'm gonna do over here is just define the moments that the crane go away, right? So like I have a stage where like it's removed, the moment where the hoist is removed as well, and then on the construction and phase, I'm gonna just like remove all of the objects that are on my site on that construction phase finish over here, right? So let me do that. and like I want to see like a view without those parts, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm just defining that, clearing up the site. So like the last milestone will show a completed site, right? So that's it. Cool. So now let's go ahead and do a presentation, right? So the presentation, actually, before I do the presentation, I'm not sure about a specific thing. Like, let's say that like I'm not sure if this is the best loading area or something like that. And Javi is the person that's like in charge of like traffic control, like is a super that has a lot of experience in this on the site. I'm just gonna go over here in my comment feature, and I'm gonna create a comment where I'm gonna tag in Javi, and he can come in here and give his opinion about like what I'm doing, right? Like for example, is this a good location for loading area? Right. So let's say that Javi is not in the call with me right now. I put in a comment like this. He just got an email with a link where he can click on that link. It will open this scenario at this milestone with the comment highlighted to him, and then he can go and like reply this comment or like resolve it, and we can have like that communication without both of us being the same call at the same time, right? So I can see that he just joined over here the site, right? So I am the editor and Javi is the viewer. So when I click on his name, I will be able to see like what he's observing, right? So he's controlling the camera right now, so I can like communicate with him like that, and I can see over here in the reply that this is a good area for my loading area, and then I can resolve that comment, and that's it. I also like to use the comments to like create to-do lists for myself of things that I still need to work with the site and so on and so forth, and coordinate with other people, right? So it's a great way to have that. Okay.
Yeah, so a good use case would be when you have an architect or a design team member at their office, you got someone in your office, you got someone on the site, and there's a critical issue to work through. You can just all jump in there, work in real time and solve that. Or like synchronous or asynchronous collaboration. Async would be like hey, I just tagged a bunch of comments, please work through them and just review my site logistics plan before I submit, and we can resolve them as we go. So async versus synchronous collaboration is supported in cmBuilder in a great way to do more faster.
Yeah. So now with the presentation aspect of cmBuilder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating like some saved camera angles and adding it to the milestones. So we will conduct the viewer to like whatever I want to show at that stage. And I can also show like some callouts. For example, I'm going to capture this camera angle over here, and I'm going to put in like a callout that says that this is the project area, right? And then I can go to the next milestone, and then I'm going to move my camera to another angle like this one, for example, and then I can add more callouts over here where like in these callouts, I will identify other elements. So power entry, it's one of them. I can put in like over here, my offices. And now for the same milestone, I'm gonna show like the other office location over here, and we'll add a new slide. And then I'll add a callout, and then say that this is the trades office. And maybe I could add more and do way more like the camera angles and things like that. But just to go a little bit faster over here, I'm going to position my camera at this view and then show the part of the excavation. And then if I keep on going on my milestones over here, I will see every step of the way. And there will be a point where I'm going to show like the assembly of my crane. So I'm going to focus on this camera angle. And then I will show the assembly of the hoist. So I'm gonna go and move this way so I can show that there's a new element over there. And then I'm gonna go back and show the view a little bit further away to account for the crane jump, right? So now like every one of these stages will show like will be played as we go, and then like in the end I can go and like capture the moment where the crane is removed, the moment that the hoist is removed. But I would just like go ahead and do like a 360 view over here of my site by creating a couple of slides that would define like just a bird's eye view of the end state of the project. Okay. Anything else, Javi?
No, I think that's good. Let's wrap it up and see how do you get a good deliverable out of this, and how do you wow your customer, your client?
Yeah, so like one thing that I'm gonna do is just like I'm gonna check my timeline presentations over here, and I'm gonna make sure that my branding is gonna be showing over there when I'm doing the presentation. And I'll just review the work that I've done by playing the presentation from scratch. And this is gonna show me like all the camera angles that I saved, like the animation is gonna go and navigate through all of those, and we will show also the milestones and the steps of construction based on that, right? So as you can see, all the new elements that are related to my buildings, like the parts that are being constructed for my building, are being highlighted in green, right? So this is a presentation visual. You can also highlight elements that are being demolished in red, or you can use your custom colors, right? But basically, it's the idea to bring the attention of the viewer to whatever is different in the model in between one milestone to the other, right? So this is a good way to do that. And once I validate that this presentation is showing everything that I want, the timeline is correct, my milestone name is over there on the top, is giving like the viewer like the whole gist of like my presentation. I can take a quick look on the last camera angles over here. And if I'm happy with this result, I can go into the export and share functionalities where I can share a live link, which basically is a link that I can define the viewer to go straight on presentation mode. I can define an expiration date, and this link you can share with other people. They don't need to have an account in cmBuilder to open this link. And it's a live link, meaning that if you make updates on the site will be like the presentation of the live link will be also be updated. I can also produce images of the current view or of all the presentation slides. I can download a bunch of images that will represent those, or I can extract a video that from this video, I will be able to like export like an actual video file and save the video file for people that wants to see this offline. Cool. Anything else?
I think we should just touch on the fact that you don't have to show up if you don't have a model, it's early in pre-construction. You can snap in some drawings. We have a massing tool, allow you to sketch out a bunch of functionality with the massing tool, and you
Yeah.
can sequence the same way with the massing tool. So that's helpful. We're overseeing all your architectural mastery on full display. So yeah, so this massing tool has more functionality than just representing the structure that you're going to build. You can use it creatively to tell different stories within your site logistics simulations, but it's another useful tool. And then the idea is just unlimited users, internal, external collaboration, and just being able to make really that 4D and site logistics planning, just bring it to life, right? Make it really, really easy, really accessible, real fast. Don't need to be a tech ninja to run the platform. And our team provides unlimited training and support for our customers. So we're always there to help if there's anything we can aid and assist with, and go from there. And then just with weekly releases to production, we're constantly improving the product with feedback from users, and we're just passionate about making the absolute best possible construction planning software that you could ever want, and just making it better and better every single week.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the idea.
what was the final time? I don't know if we have a final time here. Did you get it in within an hour? I
I
think
don't know.
so.
I don't know.
I think so. I was mesmerized. No, good
Yeah.
job. That was the fastest. That was the fastest 4D on 2 feet. Fastest 4D on turf. I don't know sports name, but let's wrap it there. That was fantastic. We'll be sending this out to everyone that signed up. Thank you for this, and everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.